and we're going to start a new series of videos here on my YouTube channel, and this is in response to how popular my sort of offhand video looking through my record collection was. So I decided I'm going to do the 1000 greatest vinyl LPs, and we're going to do these in 3 record chunks, so each video will feature 3 vinyl LPs from my record collection which I think are particularly good. And as I don't buy rubbish records, I will probably eventually go through a sizable chunk of the records that you see behind me. Today I thought we'd start off with what are actually my 3 favourite albums. Now, it took me a while to kind of pin these down, but I came to the conclusion that my favourite albums must be the ones which I can listen to over and over and over and over again without actually really getting bored of them. And you know, normally you put an album on and you listen to it, and after a while, there's only so many times you can listen to it repeating over and over again. But with these albums, certainly 2 of these 3, I never get bored of them, never get tired of them. So let's have a look at the first one here. What we've got here is a slightly more up-to-date one. This might actually be quite a surprise for a lot of people. And this is the Space Brothers, and it's an album called Shine. Includes the #1 club hits, Shine, Forgiven and Heaven Will Come. Now you might remember some of these. Certainly Heaven Will Come was a big dance floor classic back in, I think it's 1999. And it features this very obviously photoshopped cover. I mean, back in the late 90s these were probably a lot more special than they are now, and anybody can do it on their own home computer. But it's a very kind of uplifting, bright, Ibiza type dance cover. We've got our cornfield, we've got our kind of synthetic tubes of liquid mercury or whatever, who knows, and then our cloud background. And this is a 3-disc set. That is to say that there's 3 12-inch vinyl discs in here. If we just slide them out, they're quite a tight fit actually, but we can see we've got 1, 2, 3 records. And they're done a bit like 12-inch singles in that there's not that many tracks on each of them. Now this was a very difficult album to get when it came out on vinyl, because in the late 90s vinyl records were considered by a lot of people, and certainly the industry, being very old-fashioned. So you had to really hunt to get them, and they were very limited pressing, so it's probably quite a valuable record now. But we're looking at 1, maybe 2 tracks per side of LP. And these are actually the remixes of the original studio tracks, not the actual studio album tracks. So we get things like, we've got the Space Brothers dub, Space Brothers mix, we've got the Shine On remix by Planet Heaven. What else do we have on here? We've got the Taste Experience remix, and Space Brothers mix, and Olmec Head's vocal dub. And these are all versions of tracks that are on the original studio album, which was available on compact disc. I can listen to this album over and over again. It is a great piece of uplifting late 90s dance music, and of course everybody knows dance music attained perfection in the autumn of 1999. Now for our next record, we're going to go to one that is probably a lot more familiar to a lot of people, and that is trusty old Pink Floyd. And here we are, Wish You Were Here. This is, it's actually not the first Pink Floyd album that I ever got. That was Dark Side of the Moon, and it's probably the same for a lot of people. But I did later track this down, and I bought it really with a view for completeness, having all of the Pink Floyd albums, rather than hearing it and searching it out. But I remember the moment I put this on, I was just blown away. It is a staggering piece of music. There's no obvious singles really on this track. Pink Floyd are a group that really don't do singles, and they don't really need to. I mean, you're talking about tracks that are incredibly long. I mean, there's only, 6 tracks on this entire album, but it's a full-length studio album. And there's just something to it that you can't really quite put your finger on, but it draws you in. It's very mellow, it's very relaxing. It's not cliched in any way. In fact, there's a lot of albums that have come after this that really do feel like they're trying to in a way, revisit something that this record created. Now, a lot of the tracks on this record actually pay homage to one of the founding members of Pink Floyd, Syd Barrett, and things like Shine On You Crazy Diamond. It's a shame in a way that Syd Barrett never really knew how much he meant to the other members of Pink Floyd. And then there's also tracks that really kind of take the mick out of the record industry. With vocals, things like "I love the band, by the way, which one's Pink?" as if Pink Floyd is an actual person. But I can again never get tired of this. I do have pretty much every other Pink Floyd album, and I can listen to them and love them. But this is the album that keeps on giving. I can put it on and let it repeat over and over again, and I just don't get tired of it. Now we're coming to our third record in today's video, and I'd really had to think long and hard about this. I'm afraid those two records that we've just reviewed, they very much can listen to them on repeat forever and never get bored. I can't do that with this, but I've always been a big Kate Bush fan ever since I was quite young, and I think The Kick Inside was an album that my mother had, and that's what got me into Kate Bush, and subsequently bought all of her albums, all of her singles. I've even got a personalised autographed photograph from her. She's been a big influence to my musical tastes over the years, but I think of all of Kate Bush's albums, this particular one, Hounds of Love, is my favourite, and it's probably a lot of people's favourites because it is one of her most commercially successful albums. But unlike a lot of people, I think some of the tracks on this that I like the most are tracks which weren't released as singles. So we've got, the album itself is divided effectively into two parts. You've got Hounds of Love, which is the A-side, and then you've got, it's called The Ninth Wave, which is the B-side, and all of the singles that were released off this album come from the A-side. Things like Running Up That Hill, Hounds of Love, The Big Sky, and Cloud Busting. Now all of these big hits in their own right, but on the other side we've got slightly more dark and interesting tracks. Things like Under Ice, Waking the Witch, and Hello Earth. I love these tracks. They are really great, blow me away tracks. Now there's a lot of influence on this, you can tell, is weather. And I know when Kate Bush sat down to write this album, the room in the house that she was living in at the time looked out over rolling countryside, and she could sit there and watch the weather come in up the valley. And she has said in interviews that the changing of the weather at the time created a lot of influence for her on this album, and you can tell it really does come through. And in fact, even like videos, things like for Cloud Busting, featuring a strange machine for changing the weather. It's really good stuff. It's also interesting on these albums, you can't really see on the CD or the tape versions of these, but on the LPs, every single LP, there's the KT symbol hidden away somewhere in the sleeve artwork. On this album, it's no exception. It's hidden away underneath her arm on the back cover picture. You can make out just above my finger there the KT symbol. I have actually spent a lot of time looking for them, and I have found them on every single album. It's interesting, if you look at the CD artwork, it isn't actually often there because the image was airbrushed in to the final sleeve artwork before it went off for printing. And then obviously things get rejigged for CD, and they didn't necessarily airbrush in the KT symbol. But there we go. We've got the three albums that I'd rate as being the best. Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, Kate Bush, Hounds of Love, and not forgetting the Space Brothers and Shine. In my opinion, the three best vinyl LPs in my collection. But stay tuned, because we're going to produce a whole load more videos, 3 at a time, going through the 1000 greatest vinyl LPs in my opinion. Glad I could have you along for this ride. Don't forget to subscribe, and then you'll be the first to know when new videos come up. Don't forget to like this video as well, because as I've said many times before, liking is caring. Well, sharing is too. Also, don't forget to go back and look through all of our previous videos. There's a lot on there. We're well over 75 videos now, so there's a lot to look at, featuring everything from my writing career, my music stuff, and also model railways building, and just enjoying watching those trains go by. And also, if there's any particular records that you think that I should be reviewing in this series, remember they've got to have been available on vinyl LP. Then don't forget to leave that comment in the section below, and I'll see if I've got it in my record collection, because if I have, the chances are I like that record too. Anyway, you take very good care of yourself, and this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying bye for now. I've always been a massive, massive Kate Bush fan. Oops. Oh, no idea where that came from. Batman, the Catwoman's Revenge. We'll edit that out.